In fantasy football seasons, he has a few wide receivers. I have his sleepers this year. The first guy, Rashid Rice of the Kansas City Chiefs. So right here, Rice, he was drafted in the second round in the NFL draft this year. He is Rice. And right now, a lot of guys going down over there in Kansas City. Justin Ross, who he had a good training camp. He's banged up now. Kadarius Toney, he's hurt with the knee injury. He had surgery, even though he's supposedly going to be ready for week 1. So now it's the next man up. It's pretty much Rashid Rice and Sky Moore. And going into the season, I like both of these wide receivers better than a Toney and a Ross anyway going into the year. And right now, he's getting drafted pretty much only in the deepest of leagues here. Is Rice available right now in 77% of fantasy leagues. So obviously, if he's going to see the field early in the year or be a big part of an offense, obviously, with Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback, that could pay big dividends for fantasy owners. We saw last season with Juju Smith-Schuster. He revived his career, was Mahomes, and he got a good contract from the New England Patriots. And now, Rashid Rice, second-round pick, tall wide receiver, athletic. There's rave reviews about him as well in training camp. And even if he's the third wide receiver over there, I think he can make plays for this Chief team. So to take a flyer on him in later rounds in a rookie wide receiver and hoping he pans out isn't the worst things in the world. And like I said, if he's going to see the field a decent amount for this Chief team, he's definitely a wide receiver that's a sleeper. And it wouldn't be surprising to me if he could be usable early in the season in a starting lineup for fantasy owners. The next wide receiver is another rookie. We're staying in the same division. Is Quentin Johnston of Los Angeles Chargers. So right now, Justin Herbert, we know he had a little bit of a down season last season, but I think Herbert, he's a quarterback to definitely target in your fantasy leagues, and it wouldn't be surprising to me if he puts up top 5 numbers. Is Herbert, as long as Keenan Allen could stay healthy this season. Now Kellen Moore's the coordinator over there in Los Angeles, where he likes to get that ball down the field a lot and takes chances. And Quentin Johnston, he can do a little bit of everything in running the route tree. And he's going to have single coverage and be a slot guy. When you got Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and even a Gerald Everett in the middle of the field working, Johnston's going to get a lot of one-on-one coverage. They drafted him for a reason in the first round of the NFL draft. And I think he's poised to have a good year. And right now, he's available in still 49% of fantasy leagues after the draft. So right now, he's going anywhere from the 12th to the 15th round in most leagues. Here's Quentin Johnston. And he's a wide receiver rookie that I have high hopes for this year. And he's definitely a sleeper option. Like I said, even though the hype he's getting in training camp and the rave reviews, he's going to be drafted in tons of fantasy leagues. But right now, going into the year, he's a sleeper for me. And it wouldn't be surprising if he's second in receiving on this Los Angeles Charger team when it's all said and done this year, because of his versatility, of obviously his height, and them having big hopes for him. And with Kellen Moore, I think it's a perfect fit more to go over here as the coordinator with a quarterback like Herbert who wants to stretch the field and has a good deep ball. So right now, Quentin Johnston could be a big steal for fantasy owners. And he's definitely a receiver. I have as a sleeper this year. The next receiver is Rondé Moore of the Arizona Cardinals. So Moore last season, he was pretty solid, even though I know he pretty much didn't play much of the season with the hamstring issue. 41 catches, 414 receiving yards, a touchdown on 56 targets. Like Kyler Murray, we know he was most likely not going to be back early in the season, and there's no timetable for his return. So right now, Rondé Moore and this Arizona team, it's going to be a tough year, no doubt about it. But in PPR leagues, we know he's a good possession receiver. We know he plays the slot over there. This is his 3rd season now in Arizona, and I think this could be the breakout year. We usually see wide receivers break out in that 2nd or 3rd year, and I know he's going to be playing going into the season. Most likely it's going to be Colt McCoy, the starting quarterback over there in Arizona. And to be honest, I don't think Colt McCoy is one. I think he's one of the best backups in football at the quarterback position. Is McCoy. He can get the ball down the field. We know he's a veteran in this league. We know he's bounced around as well and had a great college career. But this Arizona team, they're going to be trailing in a lot of ball games this season, I believe. And Rondé Moore, like I said, he's a good PPR player, possession receiver, like a mini Deontay Johnson in a way, but just a little bit more speed in my opinion. So right now, Moore, he's not got drafted in many fantasy leagues. He's a forgotten player this year, and that's why he's under the radar. Like I said, in the ball games he played, he was solid as Moore. And after fantasy drafts, he's still available in 75% of fantasy leagues. So he's a receiver I have as a sleeper this year. The next wide receiver is Nico Collins of the Houston Texans. So right now, going into the season, it's definitely a possibility we could see Collins as the number 1 wide out. Last year, towards the end of the year, he did operate as the number one wide receiver, with Brandon Cooks sitting out those games. And now, obviously, Cooks got traded to the Cowboys in the offseason. So Collins last year, 37 catches, 481 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns on 66 targets. And he's another wide receiver that after fantasy drafts, he's out there right now in 63% of fantasy leagues. So Collins, he made some good plays last year. We know he was a carousel at quarterback last year as well, but it looks like the rookie C.J. Stroud from day one and week one here is going to start for this Houston Texan team. And they're going to be a bad team once again this year. So I like Nico Collins this year. Obviously, I don't think he's a true number one wide receiver, but for this Houston Texan team that has a lack of depth at wide receiver, I think he could be the number one over there and be a guy who could catch the football, make some plays, and be possibly a flex option as the season goes on. But right now, I have as a sleeper going into the year. And final receiver I have as a sleeper this year is Curtis Samuel of the Washington Commanders. So last year, Samuel early in the season was one of the best pickups in fantasy football, and I believe he had a decent year. 38 carries, 187 rush yards, a rushing touchdown, 64 receptions, 656 receiving yards, and 4 touchdowns. So right now, it's a tough division, no doubt about it. The NFC East, with the Eagles who made the Super Bowl, Dallas Cowboys were usually solid in the regular season, and the Giants took the next step last year, getting to the second round of the playoffs. So right now, Curtis Samuel and this team, they're going to throw the football a lot. And I like this Commander weapons on the offense. Jahan Dotson, I think, could be decent this year once again. Terry McLaurin, he's a solid number 2 wide receiver for Phonies. And you got a decent backfield of Gibson and Robinson as a good tandem. So right now, Curtis Samuel, they've used them in gadget type of formations. They've moved them around on the offensive line in motion and stuff. And like I said, last season for the majority of the year, he was a decent number 3 flex option at the wide receiver position. He is Curtis Samuel. And right now, after fantasy drafts, he's available in 90% of fantasy leagues. So he's definitely a wide receiver I have as a sleeper this year. And it wouldn't be surprising to me if he's a decent part of this offense once again this year. So that's a few receivers I have as sleepers entering the 2023 fantasy football season.